and Terry.
Some of you probably would have heard this before, or a bit of it before. I have made some adjustments. Hello, good morning and welcome to Poems in the Park, presented by regulars at Neath Poems and Pints and Cheval Young Writers. I'm going to start by giving you a little history of how it both came about. The award started in 2007 after the sudden death of my mother's partner, Terry Hetherington, a Welsh poet from the Melyn. Terry's death hit everyone. He was a wonderful man, full of knowledge and wisdom, with a wicked sense of humour. A wonderful Welsh poet who loved to teach and encourage everyone. He was a man of principle and nature, so we asked no cut flowers at the funeral. He would have hated flowers to die. Subsequently, folks donated money, leaving us with a quandary. What should we do in his memory? Bench, but where to put it, and not really him to have a bench with his name marked on it. A plaque would again not say much about who Terry was. What Terry liked was helping others, encouraging them to write. So we ran a competition for a one-off bursary award to help a young writer. Rose Whitlick, one of the editors of the book, was the winner. We were delighted, and so was everyone else. So much so, everyone donated more money to keep the award going. Over time, we became a registered trust, raised money via an open mic night in Neath. Parthian came on board and started publishing our books. Our trustees grew, and the event that we run got larger every year. Why do we do this? There is no profit. The spoken word, the written word, goes back in time and Welsh culture. There have always been tellers of tales and poets. People with a gift, a special gift, that can take you away from the here and now, can express the emotions you cannot put into words. People with the ability to make you feel, believe, enchant you away from your problems, or to help you make sense of them. The tellers of tales, the givers of poetry, need to be encouraged to use their gift. We aim to encourage young people to write and express themselves, help them to believe in their talent, and give them a helping hand into the world of being published. We started Poems and Pints to raise funds for the award, but it has done so much more. It brings together local talent of all abilities and encourages others to begin writing, begin expressing. I am one of the beginners. Terry always told me to write. I had no confidence. In school, I was always in the lower sets in English. Unknown at the time, I had dyslexia. My involvement in the monthly events led me to think, yes, I can give this a go. With the encouragement of the group, I started writing. We all have our own stories that led us to that path, our different styles and abilities. Some poetry, some fiction, and we have songwriters as well. We all get together once a month in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere to express ourselves. We always welcome newcomers. You don't have to take the stage. Some people just come to listen and enjoy. Information on the award and our Poems and Pints nights is available near the door. There is also opportunity to purchase our current and some past issues of Cheval at discount prices. I will finish with a quote from Carl Sagan and then pass the mic to our regular MC, Neath poet, born and bred, Mr. Phil Knight. A book is made from a tree. It is an assemblage of a flat, flexible parts, still called leaves, imprinted with dark pigments and squiggles. One glance at it and you hear the voice of another person, perhaps someone dead for 1,000 years. Across the millennia, the author is speaking, clearly and silently inside your head, directly to you. Writing is perhaps the greatest of human inventions, binding people together, citizens of different epochs who never knew one another. Books break the shackles of time, proof that humans can work magic. Phil.
And first of all, we'll have some samples of Terry's poems, and we want to tell you Terry's poems will be Donna Lewis.
I first met Terry when I was 16. He was in a poetry group called the Neath Pendragons. I used to go along and sing with the poetry group. So I feel quite honoured to read his poem, which he wrote. There's Carried over there for his hand. It's called You Saw Her. You say you saw someone pick amber from an old inebriate's resinous mutterings, and you admit that even you were able to glimpse the gorgeous beetle encapsulated since time immemorial, and you saw her find tiger's eye and agate hidden in the poverty of his words. You say you saw her with touches of dust on her finger, after a moment of blind reasoning when she had kept a goat moth and held, for a moment, a flutter of sadness, then opened her hands wide to the sun, freeing a transient emotion. You tell me all this, but were her eyes beautiful, not quite of this world? And did you think, just for a moment, they were the eyes that terrified and enchanted the encroaching waves of a flamboyant and excuse me, I'll read that again. The eyes that terrified and enchanted the encroaching waves of flamboyant Celts so long ago. And like that shimmering beetle. But yes, I think you may know her.
And read another poem by Terry Ellington, Kim Barker, please.
No pressure. Ada tells me this is one of her favourites, so I'll try and do it justice. It's a poem that Terry wrote, a little bit about a crisis of conscience, and hopefully that it'll be explained in the poem. It's called The Trout. Succulent autumn prize, dappled, quivering, flame lighting the leaf-crisp banks ode to winter. I raise a vicious limb, the killing stick, poised ready to describe the quick destroying arc. Twitches with unease, my eyes held, the stick stayed by breeding colours triumph, mottled blonde, clear silver, like trembling spilled mercury, floating perfectly aligned. Red beacons blazing protest at my dark, hunched purpose. Do I starve? Must procreation falter at my whim? One blow and the sinuous shaking passion over gravel is denied him. As Milt's cold-blooded cloud will never settle. Perhaps years hence, God's willing, I may repeat this act, be faced with equal fire, but the mirror of this murmuring dying day would shatter with my quick descending arm. A mouldering leaf invades the gasping mouth. It is enough. Even the loud stream's garble chides at me. The stick is flung aside and panic grips as a living symbol fades with the dripping seconds my old pained hands link to form the cradle that swings existence to the waiting water's grasp.
Now it's me. We had the fair a couple of weeks ago, and the fair always seems to bring the end of summer, so this is Neath Fair. Let the hawkers sing the summoning song to sweep away summer. For when the neon lights cease and the fair foams itself up, so comes the rain. Not a hot mist of August rain, but real September driving downpours to wash away all the dead detritus of our daydreams and wishes. For autumn follows the fair, and the changing seasons are part of its being, like the big wheel, candy frost dodgems, and painted images of yesteryear's movie icons. And as we move through the shimmering stalls and crawling crowds, it sometimes seems we're all seeking the same unattainable something, to hold forever summer's last ebb before it sinks into the sea of time. For when the fair lights fade and the almost marvellous miasma of melancholy becomes a memory, the days will grow ever darker and colder, and winter will be waiting. And is Rodri Diaz here?
Yeah.
Rodri was there. Well, I'll tell you, he's been a telly other than young writers than Paul G. Cheval.
This is Bring Me the Head of Dylan Thomas. The morning we found Dylan Thomas's head in our back garden was like any other in the old seaside town, bright and cold and pregnant with promise. We had just emerged from the dog days of summer, the kind of summer where unsticking our legs from Mum Gee's leather sofa was a Herculean task, and the first stiff breeze of autumn felt like new life was being injected into our tired bones. There was nothing about this particular morning that prefigured a mystery, and it started in familiar fashion with the first chords of Don't Stop Believing by Journey ringing in my ears. His unique choice of alarm was just one of the many features that made my brother an absolute delight to share a room with. After I'd lobbed a Mickey Mouse snow globe at his head, I stumbled to the window and ripped the curtains open. The sudden rush of pale sunlight stung my eyes. Gitto grumbled and rolled over, cocooning himself in the duvet. That's when I saw it. A hunk of dull grey metal lying on its side in the dewy grass. It was speckled with mud, and someone had scrawled a swear word on his forehead with pink paint. From my vantage point, I could just about make out its features and recognise the same man who had been staring out at me from a battered school copy of Under Milk Wood for the last 3 weeks. I hopped onto Gitto's bed and tried to shake him awake. He swatted wildly, grunting and groaning and turning the air blue. I dodged and ducked his flailing arms with the speed and grace of Muhammad Ali until finally he managed to catch me in a tight headlock and I was forced to admit defeat. Get off me! My head was wedged firmly into Gitto's armpit, the mingled scent of stale sweat and Lynx Africa polluting my airways. Piss off, Yanto! He let go of my head and shoved me off the bed. I fell with a heavy thud and immediately felt a bruise forming on my left arse cheek. You're a wanker, you are, he said, before yanking the duvet over his head and rolling over defiantly. Arse still aching, I positioned myself gingerly on the edge of the bed before picking my words as delicately as possible. There's a head in the garden. No, there isn't, he said from under the duvet. There is, though. It's Dylan Thomas. It was so silent I could practically hear the cogs turning in Gitto's brain. Once he had a chance to process what I had said, he responded in typical fashion by kicking the duvet off dramatically and stomping to the window. I swear to God, if there's no bloody head in the garden, I'm going to punch you in the chops. He looked out of the window and the colour drained from his face until it resembled watery porridge. There's a head in the garden. I told you. Gitto balled up his fist and gritted his teeth. After a few seconds, he calmed down and continued staring up the window, lips moving soundlessly. That's off the statue down the marina, I said. I joined him at the window and we stood in deafening silence, both trying to devise some possible reason why a statue's head was occupying space in our back garden. After what seemed like an eternity, Gitto bolted for the door. Where are you off? I asked. We need to get rid of the bloody thing, don't we? Anyone sees that, they'll peg it on us. I followed closely as Gitto tramped downstairs. When he reached the bottom step, he picked up my school bag and thrust it into my chest. Go and get it. I stumbled backwards and tried to hold onto the banister for support. I shoved the rucksack at Gitto, but he anticipated it and stepped out of the way, leaving me to fall flat on my face. Why do I have to get it? I whined, rubbing my stinging nose. Because I'm not dressed. Well, neither am I. Gitto yanked me up by the collar of my pyjama top, then shepherded me towards the back door. He reached for the doorknob, but something stopped him. Where's Mam? He asked. Mam worked nights at the nursing home down the road every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. It kept us going for the most part. She had a routine when she came home and she never deviated from it. She would creep in quietly so as not to disturb us, hang her keys up on the hook next to the door, stick her headphones on, crank up the radio and flop onto the sofa, where she'd pass out for a good few hours. It was a ritual, regimented, which made it even more worrying that she wasn't there that morning and the keys weren't on the hook. I looked at Gitto and he registered with panic in my eyes. For a moment his face softened and I wondered if he was going to speak words of comfort, but instead he opened the back door and shut me out. This is our chance, put it in the bag, quick as you can, he shouted before shutting the door on me. I saw him through the window, trotting to the kitchen and pouring out a bowl of Frosties he picked out one by one as he skipped back upstairs to change. I crouched down next to the head and examined it closely. There was a chip missing from its nose, residual damage from whatever misfortune had befallen it. The area around the neck was jagged and spiky. It looked like someone had knocked it off with brute force. It was so cold from sitting outside all night that holding it stung my fingers, so I opened the rucksack and bundled it in. I remember too late that my homework for Mrs. Watkins was in there, now filthy and sopping wet. Trying not to imagine the bollocking I was going to get from my least favourite teacher, I slipped back inside and found Gitto perched on the kitchen counter, fully dressed and drinking milk straight from the bottle. I put the bag next to him on the counter and snatched the milk from his hands. Not meant to do that, I said. He snorted and hopped off the counter, watching intently as I made a big song and dance, by putting the milk back into the fridge. Throwing the bag on his back, he picked up a biscuit jar and shaped of a Beatrix Potter character and started rummaging around inside. "You just had Frosties, you fat git." He pulled a £20 note from the jar and held it up for me to inspect. The man's secret stash, not so secret anymore. There was a glint in his eye as he stuffed the note into his pocket. He picked up a corner of the door mat with the precision of a crime scene investigator and fished out the spare key. I was halfway up the stairs when I heard the rattle of the key in the door. "I'm not dressed yet," I shouted, but Gitto had already bolted. I grabbed my duffel coat and the nearest pair of shoes I could find and threw them on as quickly as I could.
So the rest of the story is in this book.
Now one of our Poems in the Pints regulars, Matthew Smith.
Dream on a breeze of summer eves, tree dappled light. Let autumn's storms take your heart high on hurricanes rise. Do not fear the fall. Let spring waters stir the motions of your cold heart. Do not fear the chasm. Let the white sun quicken your capillaries crimson. Do not fear the flood. Let winter ravage the moors of your mind. Do not fear forgetting or fleeting time. Hold these lone moments in the poem's bitter silences. Break free from your bonds. Walk through Eden in your broken chains. Follow its flickering sun forever. Thank you. Henreid Falls. Beneath these rocks, the green steepled ravines, forests of firs, screens of trees. Somewhere a rush, a river. From overworld, overflow, rush of falls, fury froth to an obscured eternity. Flies scud in half light, glint in glacier ruins, where minnows flickered and bodies wade silent. Wash a while, wallow, bathe. There are worlds in water, shadowed reflections in opaque tumult. Dreams, horrors, vacancies of mind. And below, down water, through dark gorge of trees, sunless black streams, another world, unknown. Thank you.
We have Derek Davis then.
This is called Dylan's Town. This bay I loved, no more I live, by blistering seas on rugged rocks. Seabirds venture its prey unsuspecting, nature's game so cruel, so unkind. People stroll along that promenade, 1,000 souls upon its shore. Memories fixed the time and caring, my joyride down as once before. One beautiful bay, one golden shoreline, days of laughter take me back. This town I loved, this place of beauty, those dreams now laid down in my past. A time to love, to share its splendour, one emerald sea that leads me home. That glorious hope, this life worth living, this place I lay where my heart now roams. O glorious bay of Dylan's Town, where Cobber once was king. Many ships lay anchored at your port, great wealth back then did bring. But mighty River Towie that breaks across the land, splitting the town as it goes on by, till it touches golden sand. Dreams of a time long in my past where my memories often play, moments that live forever from the love of Swansea Bay. To read it, I wrote this as a kid's poem, like it's got a conservation message at the end. My grandpa had a panda. My grandpa had a panda. He kept it in the shed. Such a lovely bear, standing 5 feet tall, and he named him Sunshine Fred. Now Fred was into this and that, one lovable rogue indeed, always playing silly games, and he especially liked to read. He loved to read about the place where pandas used to roam, one full of juicy bamboo shoots in a place that they called home. Now Fred grew very unhappy, so dejected, so awfully sad, missing his Maypole family and the bamboo shoots he'd had. My grandpa too felt sorry for Fred. Was there something he could do? I know, I'll build a mini forest, he said, full of freshly cut Maypole bamboo. He looked around the garden centres, he even tried looking online. To build a special forest home could take a very long time. He looked around at this and that, but nothing he could find. Nothing that would suit the bear, nothing really came to mind. Then one day he found an ad laid out in the local Daily Read. Owned a bear, got one to spare, is he one that likes his feed? He needed a bear to entertain the kids down at the zoo. 8 till 5 every day, with lots of freshly cut bamboo. Fred was so very overjoyed, and so was Grandpa too. He'd finally found a home for Fred at the local city zoo. Now we all know bears live in forests, and those trees are all but gone, but we remember it's our kids' future when conservation is all but gone. We need to help this world, this planet. It's up to me and you. Otherwise the only place you'll ever see Fred is at the local city zoo.
Another one about Italian and young writers, Lisa Williams, and last year Parthian published his collection, the last year, which I thoroughly recommend.
The poem I had in Cheval 10, I think it was, is a poem called The Walk to Work, and it's a haibun. Haibun is like a form where it's a mixture of haiku and haiku-like prose, but that poem is a little bit long, so I thought I'd read another haibun called The Pint That Follows. Story unloaded and beer sung, he asks me, do you think I've done the right thing? Pause. Yes, I say, but not because it's what he wants to hear, because it's true. There really is no point in being unhappy. We sit for a few minutes in comfortable silence. There are difficult weeks ahead, I say, but you'll get through them. And then there'll be something else, something new, and you'll feel better. He smiles, half believing me. I cringe at how rehearsed my response sounds, as if I've lifted it from a film. Frothy dregs drained, a glass, ready to be refilled. We'll be here again, having this pint. Maybe I'll be the one with the reddened eyes and sleep-starved skin. Maybe it'll be him. But no matter which one of us it is, the other will be here, buying the pints, lending his ears. Thank you.
Another, Greg Hayes.
I got all excited about the blue planet, and I've cut down on a lot of plastic, but I was a bit shocked the other day to discover that some tea bags are made of plastic, releasing microscopic bits. So I had to write this. It's just called plastic. There's plastic in the air, there's plastic everywhere, there's plastic in the fish and cheese and meat. Honestly, I swear I'm getting plastic feet. There's plastic in my head and in my tummy. Now there's even plastic money. The animals in the zoo are all plastic too. The other day, I swear there was plastic in my poo. The seal in Caswell Bay the other day. Hey, you humans, he say. Don't you understand? Can't you see what you're doing to the fishes? You wouldn't litter your own home with plastic, so don't litter me, because plastic is not fantastic.
Is there Emily Hancock here? Will you poem, please?
So my poem's called Suffragette, which was lucky enough to be featured in Chicago number 11. So here we go. I'll stand beside you, speak when you're too warm, when countries burden you, when history rewrites your legacy. I will stand in your stead, lead those into unity, hold composure, and while others turn and forget, I will always speak of your victories. I will carry you on my voice, as my strength and my memory. Though your politics, your leaders, and your own might discriminate, I refuse to cover, to turn my back on you. One torch might burn in dark solitude, but if held high, it can spark the actions of millions. Thank you.
Catherine Lawrence.
Hello. The story that I am reading is, well, I'm reading the opening of the short story that got into Cheval 12, which I highly recommend you guys buy because there's lots of wonderful stories and poems in it. And my story is on page 108, just to let you know. And it is called A Modest Proposal. The cupboard's getting too small. It's like one of those priest's holes Mum's been teaching me about when we do history. Catholics had to hide their priests when the Protestants wanted to burn them at the stake. Mum calls me her little priest. I've got to hide like them, which is stupid because I'm not Catholic. I've never seen a cross at home, in here or the bit of hallway that leads to the bathroom. When I go there, Mum closes all the curtains and I run as fast as I can. The cupboard used to be a toilet, but Mum took it out. Still smells. All my stuff's on shelves above my head. Looming, which is a word I like because it sounds scary. My camp bed squashes a bit at the end, which used to be fine, but now my feet push against it every night. Mum says it's because I'm going into a big, strong lad like my brother David. He's the best. He comes in to read with me or to chat. We can't play video games in case we make too much noise. You're better off reading anyway, Mum says. I'm not having you left behind because of me. Mum couldn't have me. It sounds weird, but when you get money from the government, a spelling Mum wants me to learn, you can't have more than 2 kids. That's the rules. But Mum says some rules are made to be broken. So I stay in the cupboard and get lessons from her. Mum's great at teaching, so great she wants to be a proper teacher, but she never got the qualifications. I can spell that one backwards, because she had Sarah. I'll get them though, one day. And we'll never need money from the government again. Then you can have lots of babies, Mum laughs when I tell her. Get a good job and have as many as you want. No, babies are ricky. Sarah's getting married, and Mum says I can share David's room and go to proper school. Only thing is, I have to say I'm her nephew and my parents died, so she's looking after me now. I get ready for the wedding before everyone, so I practice looking sad in the living room. If anyone asks me about my parents, I'll look convincing. There's lots of photos of Mum, Sarah and David. Girly giggles from Mum's room. David trying to sing along to his rock music, as loud as he wants now. I taste the perfume and links from here, spit in my hands. Looking sad's getting boring, and it's hard when everyone's so happy. I'll see what outside looks like. 3 grey blocks coming out of the ground, with balconies. The little glass towers far away are cooler, like spaceships. I'll work in one of those when I'm older. Some policemen walk past the window, without the curtains closed, into the cupboard. I make myself small in the corner. They'll burn me like the Catholics. Bang, yelling through the walls. I'll be smaller. What's going on? Where's Sam? If they come in here, I'll kill him. Running past the cupboard, Mum says a bad word in the living room. She runs back. Sam! Sam! I'm here! She crawls in the cupboard and hugs me tight. She puts her hands over my ears, but the yelling still goes on like I'm underwater. There's something wet in my hair. They're not here for you, baby, they're not here for you, Mum mumbles. There's a ghost above us. I scream, but the light turns on and it's Sarah in her wedding dress. Mum, it's okay. They're gone. I thought, Mum says. David's watching to make sure, but I think it's just next door. Drag the kids off. All of them, she nods. In demand, aren't they? That means when you want something really badly. But if we can't have kids, who wants them? Thank you.
Now, Rhoda Thomas, please. Here. Rhoda and Timber, they put on a marvellous poetry night in Swansea called The Light Poets in Cinema and Co. The next one's in November, is that right, Tim?
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Thank you for that. Yes, it's radical political poetry, and this poem is one I've read there. It's called Even If. Even if no one's there to hear your poem, even if you never win a prize, even if you long for love and all you get are lies, even if people look at you funny or worse, stare right through you, even if you miss the bus and want to cry and have no tissue, even if you work your whole life long and don't even own your own home, even if you wanted a garden filled with birds and end up living by an aerodrome, even if your partner has a go, over drunk or just aggressive, even if you want to shout but can't be that expressive, even if you try to argue your case and people are strong and beat you down, and even if you try to remember all you need and end up making extra trips to town, even if no one ever helps you and you have to do it all yourself, even if the rain comes when out walking or you reach up to find there's nothing on the shelf, even if it's hard to understand a lesson and hard to get a decent mark, even if you invite people to a gathering but no one turns up to the park, even if you lose your money or your phone, even if your dog or cat gets ill, even if it's hard to stay calm, your mind is racing when you want to be still. Use that anger, use that grief. You share the experience of the oppressed. You think it's your fault. No wonder you're depressed. Give yourself a prize, give yourself some love. Make a garden on the shelf, colourful and green. Savour your words, your feelings, your thoughts. These are the truths that you at least have seen. Can't you see what's happening? Don't give up on hope, even though there's little time. Speak out what you have to say. Say something amazing. Aim for the sublime. Stay strong and keep going and live for today, even when the cold is biting. Challenge inequality. Join with others and go down fighting.
And in a late addition to our programme, Donna Lewis will be reading a poem by Eleanor Howe. Was she the winner this year, was she? Yes. Who won this year's Terry Eldon Writers Award?
Yeah.
This is called The Fox. A fine country fox you are, full, fattish, scarlet. What evolutionary folly fired your fur? Klaxon in the green. My lumbering gait sets you off, a flare, on sheep-gnawed hills too. Naked for refuge, you can't resist to turn and look. If I had a gun, you'd be gone. You come back later to the farmer's field, sloping away from my garden, to tug at the rook-pecked ewe by the fence, flickering red. Raise my binoculars to the window, you know. Look at me, square, and run to the scrub, gone then. I've cost you a meal. I wish I could invite you in for supper, to apologise, serve you meat at my table, ask you to teach me the law of the land. The news from the woods, but surely you would laugh at me, your teeth, and time wolfishly quivering at my soft belly, weak nose, my pots and pans, blankets and my books. You'd want your meat raw, still bloody warm with hard-won life. You would wink past, wagging your brush sassily, all the way to the door and step into the dark, new-mooned lane by your eldritch bank, belonging to it.
Amanda!
I was going to read a poem about Terry, but I changed my mind last night. Because there's one person that holds the award and these poems and pints together, and that's my mother. So, very early on in my attempts to start writing, I wrote a poem called Aida. You will feel a warm summer's breeze brush over you if she enters your life. Her voice quiet like the whisper on that breeze. The warmth of her soul reaching out to you. Her crown, the raven's wings wrapped to her face. Mysticism and knowledge of 1,000 years held within them. Fairies dance in her eyes, looking out at you. The odd nymph with its wicked sense of humour flickering through. Life lived, soul embracing the ways of the ancient world, holding to her heart that is truly precious, not the materialistic entrapments of today's world. Guided by the moon and sun, making a quiet mark on those lives she touches, never hurtful, selfish or harsh, always kind, enduring and warm. If you know Aida, learn from her wisdom, learn from her heart. I am truly lucky, for Aida is my mother.
And fun doesn't have to stop you today on Thursday in the Little Calm in the Melon at 7:30. We're having a regular monthly Poems and Pints night, and it's taking place especially on National Poetry Day. Yay! And the theme for National Poetry Day this year is truth. So we don't have to come, and you don't have to read a poem about truth. Read a poem about lies if you want to, or whatever. As long as you come, that's the important thing. Now start our second half, and Wendy, are you ready to read a couple of poems? Yeah, why not? Brilliant.
I don't see any of you this early in the morning. I don't know if I want to again, actually. Okay. But just how long do you want me to read for?
A couple of poems.
A couple of poems. Okay, I'll read the very first one from here. This book is my latest, and it's divided into poems from India and poems from Africa. So I'll read the very first poem, which sort of sets the scene for the book. Hang on, that was not a good idea putting it on my head. It's gone a bit... I was just telling Tim I don't need specs anymore except for reading, and I'm not used to carrying them. Okay, gradation. In times past, when people wandered the world on foot, on horseback, or by train, the journey accustomed them to changes of weather, language, customs. They might sail across the English Channel, alight on French soil, walk to the nearest town, catch a train and roll across Europe. They become used to the heat and the divergence. But nothing remains of these gradations. Air travel violently tears us out of the cold, hurtles us, say, into the blaze of the tropics, unaccustomed to the torture of scorching heat. And looking at the weather today, I think I will read one called Monsoon from the Indian section, and then we can probably be thankful it's just a little bit of rain, really. Peacocks herald monsoons. Elaborate tales grow and spread, discerning a difference in the air. The land astir, rouses from a prolonged sleep. Yellow skies and the sun shifts to shades of lavender. Lightning, thunder, a leaden band of lowering clouds like a dam primed to burst, and rain like chair legs lashes the land, cries in every crevice, crushes scent from flowers. People vacate houses, step out of cars, lift faces up to the pelting rain, relish every drop. Rain triggers lush new growth, fresh pastures for wildlife. Cows and dogs and pigs no longer scrabble the streets to drink. The Yamuna River swells, hurls away into purple dusk, as water buffalo cross in the shallows, where displaced sandbanks have changed the contour of the river and the land. In the morning margin of sky at lush dawn bursts on the warmth of swarming insect buzz. Wild boars wallow in accumulated mud, but the onslaught of floods is feared. And then from the Africa section, I went to Uganda to visit my son 2 years ago. Quite lucky to be alive, as some of these poems would attest, with titles like Glamping with Hippos, Not Such a Clanky Jeep, Chimp Tracking in the Dongo. But I'm going to read the first in this section, which set us on our way to these places. The road to Murchison. In Kampala, a billionaire rules and ruins lives. A place where security guards pace, rifles slung over shoulders, barbed wire the preferred fencing, white uniformed traffic police leave in despair, slink off home. We are leaving today in a clanky jeep that might not get us to where we want to be. Axle-breaking potholed roads of red earth for miles and miles, mosaiced by the smile of the sun. Termite mounds on verges, like enormous sand castles a child might spend a whole week to construct before the sea swishes it away. Dithering guinea fowl cross and uncross roads. Baby baboons swing in trees. Fast to the end of our journey, the Nile starkles through trees. We stare past the riverine fields to where the water glitters like Nielo's silver. And I'll just finish off with a short one called 12 Ugandan Women. We were packing up some camping at Murchison, and my son said, go and get a soda from the cafe. And I walked in to find this. 12 Ugandan women in an open-fronted bar, drinking soda, eating crisps, smiling widely, brightly coloured cotton dresses, cracked and crazed into geometrical designs, headscarf turbans that clashed. And when I approached them to admire their frocks, they wanted to shake my hand. So I walked around the group, grasping long-fingered, bony hands as they held onto mine, chubby and white. We posed for the bartender's camera. He took photos on my phone. And when people ask me what my most memorable moment in Uganda had been, it wasn't the lion basking near a bush, or the vervet monkeys at the pool, nor my almost encounter with hippos, or walking with southern white rhinos, or tracking chimps in the forest. The photo I keep on my desk of 12 Ugandan women pulses a longing. Thank you very much.
And now Ali, please.
Initially, I only came to listen to my lovely friend Catherine read from Cheval, but as there is an open mic, I'm taking the opportunity. So here's a poem I wrote on the train back from Chester. It's called Crawl. It's based on a song by Hosea. I'll crawl home to her. He says it with a certainty, with a depth of voice and of soul. My soul is deep and full of love for my lover, and as I travel further from her, my mind strays closer to my reality. The reality of the walls closing in around me, the walls that have never been the colour that I wanted them to be. Pink carpet with burn marks, marks of my past that have refused to fade and are hidden by a thick, matted burgundy rug. The air is thick, and my thoughts are matted and tangled with the poison that seeps from his mind and his quick and marked words. The weeds that tangle around the rusted and warped tracks of the forgotten route out of Chester show the brief mark of man overtaken by the eternal and unyielding power of nature. It doesn't take long for her to creep back in when man abandons his work. Wood taken from her forests, metal bent and shaped by the power of her flame. Taken from her with the permission of a concept, the whisper of an overbearing, all-seeing power that gave man command of all the trees and all the creatures. Man likes to believe he has the power, that he rules nature, but when he leaves his work untouched and unused, it becomes hers. When you let your thoughts wander, the control you thought you had over them, the hold you had on your emotions, is overtaken by the power of human nature, of the need for the mind to wander away from the boxes and compartments you create. It brings back darkness from the past, uncertainty from the future, anxiety from the present. Human nature sees your fallacy of control and laughs, and she pushes tears from your eyes, screams from your throat. She is chaos. She is beauty. She is the power that creeps back in when you fool yourself into thinking you have control. Human nature poisons the mind, and man spews poisonous hate into fragile minds. More fragile than the disused tracks out of Chester to which Mother Nature's weeds cling. My mind clings to the concept of control, curbs the chaos that so often gets me into trouble. But sometimes, human nature wins. She smirks at twisted frown and red face of the man who spews poisonous hate into my fragile mind, and reduces her cage to splinters as she breaks out. She screams and cries as she grips to the bait of his infested words. I cry and clench my fists as I lament her victory, but she smiles and tells me that this will not always be my reality. You'll crawl home to her, she says. Trying to decide which I want to do. Let's have a nice one about my girlfriend. It's called Sweet Chemistry. How do they make Skittles bright red? No one really knows. Apparently it's bugs. Something else that no one really knows. Why we fall in love. It's meant to be some kind of survival instinct, seeking out the strongest person to protect you, the smartest to go out and hunt for food. I suppose that falling for her was part of a survival instinct, a bizarre chemistry that drew together a smart kid from the south and a theatre kid from the north. A sweet kind of science that provides them both with what we need to survive. Happiness is key. She is the answer to my question. She doesn't know why Skittles are that red either, but no one really does. There's a sweet kind of chemistry to our love.
Tim, please.
As Phil said, we run a poetry night in Swansea. Some of you I know have read there. It's called Live Poets Society. It's a little group. We welcome political poetry, and the last the one we had, which was on Monday, was at the same week as the climate strikes, which are still going on now, I realise, in different parts of the country. So the poetry was themed towards that, and these are two poems of mine that I wrote for it. There were originally a series of them, and some of the words are carried on from one poem to the other. So it's not that I'm repeating myself; it's that it's meant to be that. Okay, the first one's called "Can You Hear It?" Singing the old songs down by the shore, I watch a pelican sail in the warm air, rising from the sea. Are we the last people? Is this our last chance? I hear the mermaids singing their songs under the waves. Perhaps this is what happens. We mutate into mystical sea beasts, mermaids, leviathans, sirens, humans with gills. We return, finned and scaled, to the oceans from whence we came. Or maybe we evolve half human, half lizard, enduring extremes of temperature with our own internal cooling systems as we search out microscopic droplets of moisture to keep us alive. I can hear the songs of love, rebel songs, songs of resistance, as the waves of humanity sweep down the streets of the cities of the planet to drown power before it drowns us. We are not sinking, we are fighting. Can you hear it? Can you hear the singing? Can you hear it? It's getting louder. Cheers. And the other one is a similar thing called Last Chance. The sea rises. A woman sits on the shore, singing the lost songs of love and exile. And there shall be fires too, floods and hurricanes as the sea rises and the ocean swells and the salt waves slap against the wet caves of our imagination, condemned to one last chance. Why are you deaf and dumb? Are we the last people? Did these lakes and hills belong to us, or we to them? Is this our honor, to be the last defenders of a wounded planet? Remember though, it was not we who sucked up oil from the veins of the earth. It was not we who created moving cities of automobiles, headlights blazing through the motorways of night. It was you, BP, Shell, Total, ExxonMobil, Lukoil and Chevron, GM, Ford, Honda, Chrysler, Peugeot, Suzuki, Rolls-Royce and Mercedes. It is from your black fangs that the oil drips, through your steel veins that the petrol thrums fast. Cities are sinking into the sea tonight. Wind rises from nowhere across the shattered beach, and the woman still sits by the shore, singing the old songs of love and revolt. Rebel, rise up, because it is the last chance before the great thunder. The winds blow stranger and wilder, and the waves are rising, and we are condemned to one last chance. One last chance. Cheers.
Catherine.
Hello again. I'm going to see how this one goes. I'm currently trying to write a novel, and it's called Powers Deep. It's fantasy horror, and this is the current very first page. I'm going to see how much of it I can remember. What do you feel, Briar? Nothing but the rock and the moor wind, nothing but the war wind blowing past her ears. He made her sit out on the moor for ages now, away from the warmth of the bothy. At least he let her keep her coat on this time, though her arms still prickled under the duffel. You're not concentrating. How do you know? He slapped her knee. You shut your eyes too tight. You're more interested in letting me think you're concentrating than actually doing it. She opened her eyes to glare at him. It always took her a second when she saw Calcrane. Sorry. Let's get words together. To remember that they weren't family. Her blonde hair versus his white streaked with grey. Her green eyes versus his grey as the streaks. The one thing that they did do together was stoop, cross-legged, like eagles looming over their food. Sorry to say. Maybe I can't do it, she sighs. Here we go. Of course you can do magic. Why would I bother with you otherwise? She grinned, crooked, and pointed at the gun beside Calcrane, the one he always confiscated when he dragged her out for lessons. He sniffed. You haven't killed anything in 3 days. You've brought us to the Baroness Moor in Croatia. Baroness, he sniffed again. Don't make up words or excuses. Then why don't you find something? He grinned crooked back, brought out his dagger. He sometimes used it to cut her hair, grabbing a handful and hacking off the ends. One day he was going to slit her throat by accident, she swore to the above. Because certain girls don't know how to split the fur from the meat. He frowned again. It felt like one of the embers in the hut going out. We are adrift, Briar. Calcrane waved the dagger at her. In the one world where it matters. There's little I can, powerless in the one world where it matters. There's little I can do about my condition. But you, it's been 12 years. Give me some time. You don't have it. Thank you.
Please, please.
It's a poem called New Shirt, and I wrote it for my grandfather. She gave me a shirt, one of yours, though never worn, an unnecessary Christmas present, still boxed, sleeves safety pinned to the collar. So I unbox, unpin, put it on, and for the briefest of moments, think of you, even though you never wore it and never will. And then this one is something that I think a lot of people can relate to. I wanted to write a poem about one of those drawers that you have in your house where you sort of shove everything in that you either don't immediately need or you can't bear to throw away. I think a lot of people call it a junk drawer. And I want to write a poem about what it would be like to search through someone else's drawer of that kind and see the things that they thought were too useful or memorable to simply throw away. So it's called Excavation. Round elastic bands, close to snapping, grip the inscriptions of used tickets, expired coupons, a faded proof of buried treasure. Artifacts unstacked, your palms become soup spoons, blunt pencils, spent batteries, a locked lock without a key. Then the dislodge of a stamped passport, a love note written in unbroken hand. This quiet box a portal now, an unsettling of prehistory. See how the world turned without your weight, and how it circles still. To make hollow by removing the inner part can leave more than just a hole to fill. Thank you.
Derek, please.
This poem is about depression. It's not generally about me, but I think we all have moments in time when we're feeling down. This is called I look okay, but I'm not inside. I look okay, but I'm not inside. I feel the pain that's really hard to hide. I long to be loved, but I feel no love at all. I want people to accept me, but they're blind to my call. I wish I could be normal, if that's possible in this life. I can't take this sorrow, and I can't take this strife. I feel so alone, so sad and so depressed. I wish I could live my life just like the rest. I wish you could help me, please accept who I am. I'm screaming for help, I'm doing the best that I can. So try to understand the way that I feel, please look for the signs, it's a real big deal. Help me through the sad times, don't ignore me, be my friend. Depression is such a sad life, where the low days never end. Thank you. This is called Poet's Corner. The Poet's Corner, let's meet for a while, to share our thoughts down memory mile. Laid out expression, extraction from emotion, that comes from devotion, written down words that poetry notion. Tears flowing, writing and trembling, words so embracing, heart pounding, fully racing. The Poet's Corner, they sit all alone. Nobody listens, can't chat on the phone. My life in limbo, this room cold and inviting. I gaze through my window, I carry on writing. I'm safe here in my room, nobody to hurt me. This world cannot break me, no harm will it take me. The Poet's Corner, you're welcome, please come. We can share our thoughts, be at peace, be at one. Remember these words, my thoughts and my dreams. The Poet's Corner, ain't the strange as it seems. Again.
Rhoda, please.
Mindful of the time of day, I'll read this one. It's called I Thought You Were a Pillow. I thought you were a pillow and I could call your name. I thought you were a pillow, be myself, have no shame. I thought you were a pillow I could claw and cry out loud. You curved beneath me as a willow and the cotton muscled as a shroud. I thought you were a pillow and I could bring you back to life. But you were buried far below and I no longer your wife. I thought you were a pillow that anything was allowed. I bit and scratched and made you billow, fanning out across the bed a cloud. I thought you were a pillow and I a comfort woman, cowed by your command, wearing stiletto while all looked on a crowd. I thought you were a pillow and I a Russian bride. I had no words to say hello. My tears locked up inside. I thought you were a pillow, I thought I was in charge. I beat you, my undefeated foe, and sailed off on a barge. I thought you were a pillow and I hammered on your door And then I heard from deeper bellow, lost in a labyrinth, you, the Minotaur. I thought you were a pillow, the feathers burst out everywhere. A sea of white and me an armadillo, fingers tangled in my hair. I thought you were a pillow and then your arms held me tight. I thought you were a pillow until at last I gave up the fight. I thought you were a pillow, a person I couldn't know. But in the sweetness of something mellow, I surrendered and went with the flow. I thought you were a pillow, but then I heard your tender voice, felt your hand with rough, familiar whitlow. You were real, I could rejoice. I thought you were a pillow, that you could be the one I knew. I looked up, all aglow. You smiled, and at last I knew that it was you. I thought you were a pillow, but you were there at last. I felt your face and saw its furrow, and in your gaze I basked.
I'll do a couple, and this one actually references this park. Underneath, by day it's a picture postcard town, but underneath it beats to a much bleaker song. All day, reverent tills ring in praise of the happy shoppers, but come night our town is a wall of steel shutters. Queen Victoria will not be amused when her pleasure park gates are locked. It's the place for drunks, drug addicts and true sad romance. The town has got the lots, supermarkets, a castle and banks out of ancient Rome, where each weekend centurions guard the Mr. Hot Potato stand. The CCTVI sees all on a Saturday night, the fights, the fun, the vomit left to dry under the stars, under my town, under your town, and always underneath. Oh, the heavens have opened now. Let's see if I can frighten the rain away. You are welcome to Wales. Wales is lovely, lovely, lovely. That tired tourist will feel at home. As all our shopping centres are grey and chrome, just like in England or the USA for that matter. Wales is one big theme park, and we have the lot. Celts, Romans, Normans, and all kinds of castles, mining museums, but no real mines where that makes the grass even greener. In Wales you can enjoy a ride on one of our many lovely little narrow gauge steam railway lines. However, you'll have to come by car as the bus and train service was cut a long time ago. In Wales you can buy all kinds of lovely things. Love spoons, Welsh dolls, Welsh cakes, toy sheep, posters of waterfalls, and the tiny little models of miners made from real, authentic Welsh coal. And there are lots of wonderful books to buy about Wales, and Welsh princes, and Welsh poets, and Welsh communists who are all nice and safely dead. You can round off your visit with a meal in a brand new, authentic heritage restaurant, or you can drink an ale named after Dylan Thomas in one of our many lovely Irish themed pubs. So come to Wales where you can. The rocks and the sea will last forever, but the rest is going, gone. No, I didn't think that one was Greg?
Thanks, Phil. How do you follow that? Okay, well, I'll try and lift the mood in these dark days by reading this one. This is called Cutch. Cutch me when I'm young, cutch me when I'm old, please, please cutch me when I'm cold. Cutch me in the morning, noon and night, sneak up behind me and catch me a fright. Catch me on the bus and in public places. Catch me especially in tiny, tiny spaces. Catch me when I'm sick, but not diseases. You don't know how much your catch pleases. Catch me when I'm naked and when I'm all alone. Please come over, because you can't catch on a mobile phone. Catch me in the dark or with the lights down low. Catch me now, just go, go, go. Darema, Kayat, Katsovi. Catch the person next to you if you want.
Matthew, please.
Right. Sorry, I don't do any cheerful poems. Nada, nothing. Okay. So, this is Warfields. Man stands lone, hinterland. Ghosted fields, points of sky, boots planted, stir. In senseless cold, bone flesh shudders, centered in ashen acres. A needled nerve burns, black lip cheek sliced, snagged to muck ear hall, blood black cleaved, skin flap of shoulder. With eyes wide, arms taper down, mottled marble veins throb and shake of wrists. Mind grids compute, muscle meet, micropulse, anti-freeze, regeneration. Man's skull smells its warfields, rot in snow clings, distant cremation fires, and splintered trees captured in zoom lens to body heaps shagged with ice. It starts again. Recalibration. The plane of supremacy. Thank you. And totally proven I didn't do any cheerful poetry at all. This is about scattering ashes. There we are. Okay. This is called What Remains. Ashes blow, cast in the wind. Traces fly to star's grave, ridge and peak. Cold on rock, in seed of heather. In snow flight, past miles of midnight, to upland lake, ghost white. Moons hurl poo. And all that remains is fairy tale unholy, as we lone recede into lingering night. Thank you.
Paula, have you recovered from your discombobulation?
Something just came to my mind then when you were talking about scattering ashes. It's kind of cheerful, kind of dark as well. There's a friend of mine with his small son who was standing on a dock, and they were looking at the water, and suddenly a man came and chucked something, the water, and it all blew back all over my friend and his son.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Only happened to him. And he told it, we laughed. I decided to read this. Actually, I think I'll go without the mic. Can you all hear me?
No.
Pardon?
Can't hear me. Okay, I'll stand here. Is that better? Yeah? Okay. Recently I've been working in a school in Merthyr and working as an eco-artist, and I took in my book, which, though it has a strong anti-nuclear message based on the bombing of Ascension Island, the testing, and the ocean there, there's a lot in here about trees. So I wanted to read this little bit because this little bird, hello, I just saw you there. Oh, that's so lovely, this woman is so kind. But I didn't know she was here, so sorry, it just distracted me. You can cut this out, can't you? Anyway, right. Okay, what we did was, this whole book is about inspiring, especially anyone who feels overwhelmed with everything that's happening to our planet, just to do what they can. So, as a result of this book, we actually planted a long wildlife hedge at the school around the old hockey court, which is disused now. So that was really great, and the kids want to continue it. So I'll just read a little bit. It's actually a story for two voices. Some of you will have heard it, some of you won't. But this is the bit about the trees. The little bird has been flying, and she's describing what she's seeing at the start of the book. And she says, "I saw great trees, their roots vibrating deep, deep into the earth, long branches touching sky where no creature could climb. They gathered light of all colours and fed it to Mother Earth. And birds like translucent gems fluttered here and there amongst these forests of light. And creatures too numerous to count lived amongst these light giants." I flew on, and there's illustrations to help the children and anyone else to see. They're all my paintings. Sadly, the book takes a more serious turn from the beauty it begins with, and the bird is now having a conversation with Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is saying to the bird, "This darkest of filth is killing me. The trees cannot feed me enough golden light. They take the trees too, you see. But I don't understand. Why do they harm you like this? You who are so kind and so lovely." It is fear, child. Fear of themselves. They imagine they are separate from the rest of us. Believe they know better than to trust us. So they destroy that which they covet. Land, earth, money. This is one that I've had the honour of being published with Red Poets just this month. So I'm going to read it in honour of the Red Poets and how honoured I feel that they've stuck me in their publication. Or stuck one of my writings. It's called I Choose. I don't want to be a slave to a God that might exist. I don't want to bow down to a sadist, an egomaniac who claims to know my every thought. Oh no. I don't want to be a slave to a God who kills and maims, who encourages war, fear and pestilence. Oh no. Oh no, no. Why would I worship such a one? Why would I adore such a God? Do gods evolve? Does that God know love? Can gods evolve to want peace, not war? Oh yes, he might be a friend to humanity's wars, not wars. But history shows him to be bloodthirsty. Oh no. Oh no, I won't give
my allegiance to such a being. I won't be a slave to a crazy, fear-inducing religion. Oh no, no, no. I refuse to propagate hate in his name. God of the Pharisees, God of the Bible, I choose not to worship you. Time for song?
Yeah.
Quick song.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. This is. Right. It is said after I had this song, after I was inspired to create this song, I realized that Native people say that we dream the world, but at the moment we're dreaming the wrong dreams, so we need to change our dreams. So this is a song some of you may have heard parts of, but it's growing as well. So next time we hear it, there'll be drums. Here it goes. Slugs are sleeping, moths are awake, their tunnels reaching across the field. She is listening, feeling my feet, walking upon her grassy skin. I am dreaming, I am walking in the darkness, lit by stars. I am dreaming, I am walking, I am dreaming, I am dreaming in the darkness, lit by stars. Diolch yn fawr.
So that was it now. So thank you for everyone who came and braved the rains of Neath. And remember, it's poems and pints on Thursday night in the Little Calm. So all the best and.
And then just that, the competition, closing date is coming up, so please give it a go if you haven't tried before, or if you're still under 13. Have a go.
Because you're living in Wales, though. You should study in Wales. Do it. Yes.
Well then, and thank you to Martin Lloyd for our wonderful website. Anything you want to know about Cheval, about the 10 Hetherington Award, go to www.chevalwriters.com.uk, and the person in charge of the website there is Malcolm Lloyd.
I wasn't going to.
But you are now.
But he's been nagging me over there. Go on, John. Give us a song. Anyone who knows me and who was ever heard me sing at the poetry pit, the Terry's at the camp, the little camp. They know this story. And I used to sing with Terry at his poetry group with the Pendragons. This was the song that he always requested. So I'm sitting over there in the corner. Phil had asked me, are you going to give a song? I said, No, I won't today, my voice isn't great, you know, I'm a little croaky little husky. I was over there, and there he was nagging me, get up, man, go on, give us summertime, and I'm like, oh, leave me alone. So anyway, I'm going to do it, and as soon as the rain has stopped, I don't feel quite so hypocritical, because this is the almost obligatory summertime. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich, and your mama's good looking. Well, hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know that one of these mornings you're gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and you'll take to the sky. But until that morning, there ain't nothing can harm you with your mammy and daddy stay.